Tried here in Birmingham's federal court on charges that he told Natalie's mother, Beth Holloway, that he would lead her to Natalie's body in exchange for $250,000. Holloway paid him $25,000 as a down payment, only to find out that he lied about the location of Natalie's remains. We have crews all around here following his location to see exactly what the next steps are as he gets off the plane.
Yeah, so the next step, so once he is here in the United States, as he has just landed, this essentially is treated like any other court proceeding. So he's going to have an arraignment hearing. That's the first thing. We don't know if that's going to happen later today, possibly tomorrow morning, but that's the first chance he'll be given to enter a plea in this case. I talked with law professor John Carroll at Stanford University a little bit yesterday about what to expect, and that sounds like a very basic hearing. It's kind of the first steps in getting this going. The prosecution in this case obviously knows the case they have. These charges go back to 2010, but the defense, they are essentially starting from ground zero in this case. We understand that he has been assigned a public defender, but now he has to begin the process of meeting with the public defender, that individual learning Vandersloot's side of the story. So we could be about a year or so from this case eventually going to trial.
Yeah, and he's eligible for release in Peru in 2038. So as we mentioned before, he's a Dutch national from Aruba, but he's currently serving that 28-year prison sentence in Peru. This was for that 2010 murder of a Lima college student, Stephanie Flores. Flores was killed 5 years to the day of Natalie's appearance. So eventually he will be going back there to serve that 28-year sentence.
Yeah, so this is just a temporary extradition. So once these court proceedings are done, if there's a verdict, if there's an appeal, once that is all finished, then he goes back to Peru, as Brittany mentioned, to finish serving that sentence for murder in Peru. Any charges, any additional years that he would face in connection with the extortion and wire fraud, those would be after that other sentence are finished. But again, you're taking a live look at Birmingham Shuttlesworth International Airport. That plane carrying Joran Vandersloot from Peru just touching down a few moments ago. It left Peru this morning. He was accompanied by a number of federal agents who flew down yesterday. They are bringing him back to Alabama to face those federal charges. The next step for Vandersloot now, he'll go to a detention facility. He'll be held there and eventually go to an arraignment hearing.
And we were watching the video, Ian and I, earlier this morning of him, a lot of video coming from Peru to see the initial stages of him, again, over the weekend, moving him from the maximum security prison to Lima, a facility in Lima, leaving for Peru today and getting out of the car. Several FBI agents around him. He was wearing jeans, a big black puffer jacket, and he kind of had a grimace on his face, a smirk on his face, seemed very calm as he was following those federal agents to the plane as he left Peru this morning. We have not got a glimpse of him yet today. We're hoping to do so with this view that we have here at Birmingham Shuttlesworth International Airport.
So you can see the plane, it looks like is finished taxiing to where it's going to be parked right now. Looks like they are getting ready to open the plane door, and eventually the agents and Vandersloot will be getting off the plane. A little bit earlier, we saw a number of cars that had lined up. They're going to be transporting him almost immediately to either a detention center where he'll be held, and then that arraignment is, of course, the next official thing likely on the agenda for Vandersloot. These charges, though, again, date back to 2010. So this was about 13 years ago, back in May of 2010, that those charges were filed. And so this case, it's just a long process that is now one step closer to beginning. That arraignment hearing is next, and then both sides prepare for trial, which we are told from legal experts could be about a year or so from now. Part of it also depending on the court schedule and the docket and what that looks like.
Yeah, it's a whole process. The decision, too, this is important to mention, to move forward with this case here was made in part because the length of time has passed, good amount of time has passed since the alleged crime had happened, and the possibility that witnesses in the extortion case may not be available once his murder sentence in Peru was completed. That plays a big part of it. So that's why they made this process of coming here to the United States a lot quicker. All
right, so if you're taking a live look, I want to draw your attention back to the TV set this afternoon. You can see the plane's door is now open. Looks like a number of those SUVs that we mentioned earlier, they are starting to kind of drive up to the plane. They're starting to unload some of their luggage, some of their gear off of the plane. We have not seen Joran Vandersloot step foot yet on U.S. soil. The plane he is on has landed here in Birmingham, but we expect him to step off that plane at any moment.
And this is such a big deal here. This case has global attention for the past 18 years, but this means so much to people in our own community and in Mountain Brook, the families, of course, friends of Natalie Holloway and their family. The 18-year-old Natalie, she was scheduled to fly back to Alabama on May 30th of 2005. failed to appear for that flight. Last seen with her friends sitting in that vehicle with Sloot, 2 acquaintances there. And since her disappearance, the family has returned several times with no success, of course, to find her back in Aruba.
And you have to think of her parents,
Yeah.
who have been through so much over the last 18 years. Natalie Holloway would be 36 years old today,
Right.
and her mom put out a statement shortly after Peru agreed to this temporary extradition, and she talked in part about what a long and painful journey this has been, but the persistence, she said, of many is going to pay off. She talked about being blessed with Natalie in her life for 18 years, but she'd also mentioned that she was now without Natalie for 18 years as well. So the difficulty that she and her family face each and every day in the absence of their daughter.
And just the measures they took. This whole case is about the extortion of all thousands of dollars in order to have an attempt to just find her body and figure out what happened to her. So knowing that he is here, he's arriving here in Alabama, probably just means so much to the family to have some sense of, I don't want to say closure, but some sense of, trying to get one step closer to figuring out what happened.
And you do think that it does bring them one step closer
That's
to at
true.
least appearing in a U.S. court and facing charges in connection with some of that information and some of what went on with Holloway's case. Again, if you are just joining us here on WVTM 13, you're taking a live look at the Birmingham Shuttlesworth International Airport. The plane carrying Joran van der Sloot just touching down moments ago here at the airport. We've seen a number of agents get off the plane. They've unloaded some of the gear that they took with them to Peru yesterday to make that 24-hour round-trip journey, bringing van der Sloot from Peru up here to Birmingham, Alabama to face wire fraud and extortion charges. You can see at the front of the plane, the door's open, but we have not seen Joran van der Sloot come off the plane just yet.
And we have crews, our WVTM 13 crews, all over this story for us today. We have Jarvis Robertson, who is there taking a view of his camera shot from the airport. We have John, he's somewhere, a possible location of where he may be detained. Still, we're not exactly sure of that location as of right now. And we have our Lisa Crane as well at the courthouse, where he will eventually be in the coming hours, days, yet to figure out.
And this was a lengthy process to get to today, to get to this plane touching down on U.S. soil with Joran van der Sloot aboard. There was a treaty that went into effect between Peru and the United States back in 2001, allowing a suspect to temporarily be extradited to face trial in another country. And that's exactly what this case is. Joran van der Sloot allowed to be brought to the United States to face trial. Once that trial is over, once a sentence is reached, if there's an appeal, once that process finishes up, he is then expected back in Peru to finish out that murder sentence of 28 years he is facing down there. And at that point, once that sentence is finished, then he would begin serving whatever time he was sentenced for here in the United States.
And just to get a little more in depth too with this extortion case and the reason why he's here, it was all about $250,000 in hopes to figure out the story behind Holloway, where her body was or what happened to her. So he agreed to accept $25,000 for a down payment. And then he, on May 10th, this was in 2010, a witness flew to Aruba, gave van der Sloot $10,000 in cash on behalf of Natalie's mom, Beth, and then wired another $15,000. So the $15,000 wire transfer is the amount that van der Sloot at this point is charged with and what will be brought up in court.
And I talked to one legal expert yesterday about a possible sentence. If he is found guilty, he could be looking at 20 years. That's the maximum for a charge like that would carry. But again, that 20 years is after he finishes serving that 28-year sentence for murder. That is in Peru. He will go back to Peru after those court proceedings here in the United States are finished.
But that could take some time too. It could be up to a year here in our area before that actually even happens. Before
it even goes to trial for sure, and then if there's an appeal, we don't know how long that would take. If you are just joining us, you're taking a live look at Birmingham International Airport. The key suspect in Natalie Holloway's disappearance while in Aruba back in 2005 has just landed here in the United States. He is here facing wire fraud and extortion charges, and he will be in court, expected in court sometime within the next 24 hours to enter a plea on those federal charges.
We're taking a live look from Birmingham Shuttlesworth International Airport, where that plane landed just minutes ago. Another view that we saw not too long ago were all the federal agents and their SUVs lining up down the road. It does appear that they're going on and off the plane right now.
Yeah, so we've seen the agents, it looks like, get ready. They went up the entry to the plane. came back down. So we again are expecting Jorn van der Sloot to step off that plane at any moment. He will immediately, it looks like, be placed in the back of an SUV and then taken to a detention center here in central Alabama. That's where he'll be held before that arraignment hearing. And then he'll be held somewhere in a detention facility for likely the next year or so while they prep for trial, attorneys on both sides. And then once the trial eventually gets underway, one expert telling me that should take about a week or so because it's a pretty straightforward case in terms of the indictment that's already been released.
And I wonder, how people around here will be reacting to what's going on too. We know that the community throughout this whole process of Natalee Holloway's disappearance have created yellow ribbons in support of her and her family. So I know a lot of people have eyeballs on our screen right now watching this the same time we're watching this to figure out what's going on and to see how this all unfolds.
Well, it's a really personal news story for a number of folks who went to high school with Natalee, folks who traveled to Aruba with her, the family that lived in Mountain Brook. I mean, this is deeply personal for so many folks, and you heard from Natalee Holloway's mom after that indictment was issued, but after the agreement was issued, in fact, to bring him to the United States, and she talked about persistence, and she talked about how it had been a long and painful journey, but hoping that it was going to pay off. And this is that first step in him facing any kind of charges related to the disappearance of Holloway.
Right, and hoping to figure out more as time goes on, and dedicating her life and the purpose of her life at this point to really figure out what happened to her daughter. And of course, her life has been altered so much since that day, 18 years ago. 18 years. But again, a global story, lots of attention on this story around the nation, around the world, but especially right here at home.
Again, you are taking a live look as we await Jorn van der Sloot stepping off of that plane at any moment. We don't know a lot about what's going to happen next in terms of the timing. We do know there will be an arraignment hearing in federal court here in the Birmingham area, so we know that's going to happen, but whether that is today or tomorrow morning, we are not sure of the timeline on that. We know he's going to be held in a detention facility at some point. One legal expert I spoke with talked about likely a very secure part of a detention facility, just given his history and who he is. And you're taking a live look at your TV. It looks like Jorn van der Sloot right there is being led off in handcuffs, walked to that second SUV here in Birmingham.
He had on handcuffs this morning as we watched him leave Peru, of course, get into a vehicle in order to be taken to the airport in Lima. And it does look like he was just escorted off, still had those handcuffs on, and walking towards that car where he is going to, at this point, a location that we do not know.
Yeah, our Jarvis Robertson is standing by as well. We're going to be talking with him here in just a few moments. He's out at the airport getting a firsthand look at what's going on out there. So we're going to bring him into the conversation here in just a moment. But again, you just saw Jorn van der Sloot walked off that plane, put into the back of an SUV, and now that process begins to a detention facility and that first court appearance facing those wire fraud and extortion charges.
This is a highly secure operation here. This is something that was likely planned out for quite some time. We just found out about a month ago, that he was going to be coming here to the United States, specifically here to Alabama. But I'm sure since that day, they really had to figure out the correct ways to go about doing this with the FBI agents, with the court kind of coordinating everything here too. A process like this takes a lot of security.
And a lot of planning. You think of the planning that went in. We understand that the agents went down earlier in the week, but made a very quick trip in terms of the amount of ground they had to cover to pick up van der Sloot, pick him up in Peru, and then fly back this morning, leaving about 8 o'clock or so, making that about 6.5 hour flight up over Florida, eventually through Georgia, and then landing here in Alabama just shortly after 2 o'clock.
And his demeanor seemed very calm, just kind of going along with it. He had a grimace on his face, just kind of a very bland look as he was following with FBI agents this morning. We're getting a shot from the airport from this angle. What you could see is just about 3 SUVs, maybe 3 or 4, but there are a ton of them there. We had a zoomed out image before, so there is quite the extensive group of people that have been awaiting his arrival here at the airport today.
And again, these charges that he will be facing are from accusations he tried to extort the Holloway family in 2010, essentially promising to lead them to her body in exchange for hundreds of thousands of dollars. He initially requested $25,000 for answers, requested an additional $225,000 once her remains were recovered. He pointed to a house at one point during this operation when a representative from the family went down to Aruba and said that's where her body was located, but then later said in emails he was lying about the location, and that's where those extortion and wire fraud charges come from.
All right, we want to get out to the airport now. WVTM 13, Jarvis Robertson has been there, has watched the plane land, has been there to see this with his own eyes. So Jarvis, we just wanted to kind of get your perspective here. What have you seen from where you're standing?
Yeah, hey there, Brittany and Ian. So I would say between 216 and 218, that is when this private jet owned by the U.S. Department of Justice touched down here at the Birmingham airport. This is a very methodical process that's playing out, and Brittany, you mentioned it as well. They have to be extra careful about how they are going about doing this extradition. They have to plan out every step. They have to make sure that security is at the utmost forefront of getting him from Peru here to Birmingham and into that holding facility. You can see right now the SUVs, they are moving out. Most of them are unmarked SUVs. From one of them that I can see, it looks like it is probably one from the Department of Homeland, but I'm just a little unsure on that because I can't make out exactly what it is. But those